Hi, welcome or welcome back. It's finally time for me to do the Booktube Newbie Tag. I've only been posting for about a month. I'm definitely a newbie, and yeah, let's get into it. The first one is, why did you start the channel? I have loved Booktube for a few years now, but I started a book talk instead because it seemed a lot more accessible, easier to get started, and while I've loved my book talk, it's probably going away. By the time you're seeing this, it might be gone in the United States. So, I have started this channel. I am very excited to make longer form content, vlog type content. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I have participated in a few different readathons like Realmathon, Escape the Readathon, stuff like that, and have had a really good time as just a participant, but I'm excited to be a creator in this space. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's definitely going to be a learning curve. It's a lot more work than TikTok has been so far, but I'm happy to be here. What can I bring to YouTube? Well, things that have never been done before. I'm funny. I read about 200 books a year, and I'm hoping to recommend you books that you have never heard of before, and also just make your TBR infinite. That's the one thing that I would really like to do, is make sure that you never run out of books to read. The publishing industry has probably seen an increase in books. However, I'm here to curate lists for you as well. I want to recommend you a book that you are going to give 5 stars. That's my ultimate goal, and hopefully that's something that I can bring to BookTube. What am I most excited for? I'm excited to try and find community here. I have loved Book Talk. I've found a lot of friends there and a lot of people who have similar reading tastes to me, people who have been able to recommend me books I probably wouldn't have heard of otherwise, and that's my intent here as well. I want to find new books to read, find new people to find community with, and just create a space where we can talk about the weird, the gross, the wonderful books, and that it's a safe space for the most part. Why do I like reading? Well, I like reading horror probably because I know that it can always be worse than what's happening in my real life. And I think I like reading fantasy because I like to know that there is a way to make it better, to make your world better. And I also like reading because I think it's a great way to find common ground with other people. If you've read and loved the same book, it's an easy thing to talk about and it opens the door for further conversation. And if people like the same books that you like, it's kind of easy to see what they're into, what kind of person they are. And yeah, I just think reading's a great use of my time. What big series got me into reading? So I think when I was tiny and first learning to read, I think it was the Magic Schoolhouse books. Those I was super, super into. And then when I got a little older, it was the Animorphs books. I was so into those. And then when I was more of like a teenager, definitely like Percy Jackson I was very into. Like, I read past just the Lightning Thief series and kept going with all the spin-offs that Rick Riordan did. I also read the Maximum Ride series. That was wild. Like, actual high school, I would say, is probably like all of the dystopian stuff as everybody was reading it, like The Hunger Games, Divergent, that kind of thing. And then I took a break from reading. I went to college, I got a degree in computer science, and that was super intensive, super mind-numbing for me. Like, I could not devote my time to reading something for pleasure. It would not have been pleasurable. My free time was just spent recovering from all the learning that I was doing. But then I graduated college in 2020, and then COVID hit, and I needed a hobby. I was doom scrolling. It was not good. I needed something to occupy my attention, and I picked reading, and I'm so glad that I did. When I first started reading again, I would say that the big series that really got me into it was the Ice Planet Barbarian series, and I will be forever grateful to Ruby Dixon for getting me back into reading. I will always hold a space in my heart for that series. Do I think it's the best written or the best plot anymore? No, but it got me back into reading, and I will continue with the Big Blue Guys forever and ever as long as she's writing them. And then I think the big series that I want to tackle this year, not really a question, but one I'm going to answer, is The Realm of the Elderlings. There's 17 books. That's a big, big series, and the books are kind of big as well. My favorite booktubers, oh my gosh, I have so many of them. Books and Lala, Jan, Sid Bookworm, Covers with Cassidy, Melanor Reads, Books with Lexi, Jan Agaton, Tori Morrow. I think that she has some of the best fantasy and sci-fi recs out there. That's all the people that I can think of right now, but I'm sure I'm missing a few people, and I am so sorry. Challenges is definitely how long it takes to edit a YouTube video. 60-second or even like a 10-minute video is a lot easier to edit down than a whole vlog that when you upload it, it's an hour, but it's like 6 hours of footage. Or even just like a sit down video, I stutter so much. I never stuttered before I got in front of a camera. At least I don't think I did, or I didn't notice it. But I have been stuttering so much, especially when it's not my phone and I have this like camera that I got for YouTube. It makes me stutter and I don't know why. But the editing and having to sit through listening to me stutter and edit has been kind of frustrating. It's been a learning curve because also with short form content, you can usually edit in app, but that's not really possible in YouTube. So I've also been learning CapCut and Canva. I've really been enjoying learning Canva actually, but CapCut has definitely been a learning curve, and my computer has been struggling with editing videos a little bit too, so that's also been frustrating. Just the process of it all. I think once it gets a little bit easier, I'll enjoy it more, like I've grown to enjoy editing videos for TikTok, but for now, that's my biggest challenge. Where do I read? Here, my bed. I definitely like to read in my bed. When it's nice out, we have a balcony and I have this really nice reading chair that I love to read in. My cat also likes to chill out on the balcony with me, so that's some great bonding time. We have a nice couch. I don't really like go out in public to like a coffee shop or a bar or something to read. I'm not really into that so much. I do love having a physical book on a plane though. It does make me feel mysterious and like the main character. So that's probably my favorite public place to read. Ooh, or at the side of a body of water. That is a great place to read. That feels very relaxing and recharging. My favorite genres, fantasy for sure. I'm a super big fantasy girl. I actually started reading romantasy and that's what got me back into reading. I've enjoyed that less so. I've gotten a lot more picky with my romantasy, I think, because it does at a certain point get a little bit formulaic, and now that I've read some, the formula has gotten a little bit boring for me. But fantasy, I'm still really enjoying. Sci-fi was kind of a new genre for me last year. Very much enjoying sci-fi. I think there's a lot of sci-fi that I need to catch up on and read that I'm excited about. I have always been a horror girl, but not as much of a horror reader, but I found so many good horror books last year. I did a couple horror series on TikTok, and that led me to a lot of books that I wouldn't have picked up otherwise. Very much enjoyed that. I think genre blends with horror have also been really good for me, like a horror fantasy or horror sci-fi I have been really, really into. I'm not as much of a literary fiction period type of person. Like a slice of life story is not something I'm really into. It's kind of boring to me, but like a literary fiction horror, I have been loving those because I think with a literary fiction horror, we usually get the kind of good for her or sad girl lit fic stories, and I like those ones, but that's pretty much where my enjoyment stops for literary fiction. I also tend to really like romance stories, but not contemporary romance. I think contemporary romance is boring. My favorite trope in romance is enemies to lovers, and I don't think that you can have enemies to lovers in a contemporary romance. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but like Greg from The Cubicle Down is not your enemy. He's your rival. He's your irritation at best. But enemies to lovers in a fantasy romance where the romance is a little bit more of a subplot and it's like kind of politics heavy. That's my bread and butter I found this year, and that's what I've really been enjoying. That's kind of specific, but if you have any recommendations, please let me know. Nonfiction, just like as a genre, is kind of like very broad, but I'm definitely trying to get into nonfiction this year. Historical fiction is not really something that I'm interested in at all. I have a hard time with it. I find it boring for the most part. Any other genres? I've been getting in a little bit to YA horror and YA fantasy. It's definitely not my preferred genre, but I am not steering away from a book based solely on that anymore. Now that we've covered every genre in literature, I think that's about it. Yeah, that's me. If you have any other questions, definitely let me know, and thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave me a book emoji, and I'll see you next time. Bye!